Are you ready? Ready to bring a revolution to your relationships? Ready for the experiences on your dating adventure to evolve? Ready for more passion, intimacy, connection, and love in your relationship? Ready to heal past relationship wounds? You're in the right place. I'm Alan, the love engineer, and this is the Relationship Revolutions podcast. In this series, you'll get guidance and tips from me, interviews from other relationship experts, insights from couples who already have a great relationship, and other mind-opening conversations. G'day, and welcome to the latest episode of Relationship Revolutions, where I'm joined by Belinda Clarke.
Hello, and I'm very happy to be here.
No worries. First two questions, and if these two stump you, then I think we're in trouble. So question one is, how are you? And question two is, where are you?
Okay, so I am feeling a little bit flustered, a little bit overwhelmed because this is 21st of December and we're coming up to Christmas. And I'm doing the usual kind of like, oh, I haven't got enough presents. People are coming, family are coming over, and then we're going away. Oh no, I haven't got enough time. So that's how I'm feeling, actually. And I happen to be on the beautiful island of Ibiza.
Excellent. That is one place I have yet to be. Well, one of many, but
Oh,
I've heard it's beautiful there.
oh, it is. It is. We live in the north, so it's all very nice and natural, and lots of countryside surrounds us with beautiful beaches, so lots of open spaces.
And if my memory serves me correctly, being in the north, you're not too affected by the madness of the summer party season.
Not at all. Not at all. Although I escape every August. I escape. I go to lovely, beautiful UK to spend my summer holidays in August in the UK. So that's what I do.
That would be the time of year to do it, and you never know. In that time, you might even get our 3 days of summer.
Yes, I usually do, which is great. And always go to different places. So it's not the same place. And usually within that month, I do get some sun. And actually, I like it. It's lovely. Even if it's raining, it's fine because it's not like that here.
Excellent. So, would you like to share with the listeners a little bit about what you do and your journey? And I have to say, as well as even being intrigued by the new book, I'm also intrigued by the title of your first book, which was Pregnant Punk at 14 and Empowered at 50. And being
Yes,
a rock, metal, and
absolutely.
punk fan myself, that kind of has got my attention a little bit.
Yeah, good, good. It should do. That's that's the idea. So, well, okay, what do I do? I'm a leadership coach, therapist, and author, and I help women to step into and embrace their feminine power. That's my job, and that's what I do. I've been doing this for over 20 years. When 22 years ago, I decided that I was going to leave my successful leadership career in criminal justice and retrain to be a coach. So I stepped out of a very different world into another very different world.
That's one heck of a career change. What led up to that?
Yes. So I ran up my career ladder and in less than 10 years, I become one of the boys because it's a very male oriented environment, criminal justice. And that's what I decided I needed to do was become one of the boys. So I became very overdeveloped in my masculine. I looked very different to how I look now. I had short, dark hair, dark rimmed glasses, pinstripe trouser suits every day, flat shoes, and I was really quite bossy. So that was how I survived and got ahead basically in my chosen career of criminal justice. And then one day when I got to the job that I wanted, I got sacked. And I literally had only been there a few months. And apparently my management style didn't suit theirs. And had to go back to my old job because I've been seconded to this job initially. Um, and I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. I didn't know what I was going to do. I phoned a friend. I had a phone call and then decided to go round to my friends to speak about it more. So I gathered my stuff, went to my um, secretary and said, I'm not feeling very well. I'm going home. Please cancel the rest of my appointments for today. And then I never went back. And that was the start of my changing career.
So, feminine empowerment coach and feminist. I have a sneaking suspicion those two things could be very, very different.
They are, absolutely. So, feminine empowerment coach is all about helping anybody, because it doesn't have to be women, by the way, but anybody who wants to rediscover, step into their feminine side more and more in order to really be their authentic, confident selves and to be balanced in their masculine and feminine. We don't necessarily need to step into our masculine because we are born into a very masculine patriarchal world where lots of our conditioning is already masculine and patriarchal.
Especially for women these days. And what I've experienced myself and seen with my friends being a guy growing up, we get a lot of feminist conditioning and taught to feel more, be more in our emotions and pay attention to them. But at the same time, when it comes to intimate relationships, if the woman's going to be in her feminine, she needs that opposite in her masculine.
Absolutely, absolutely, to balance everything. You've got to remember that humans are a mix of feminine and
Absolutely.
masculine. And that mix depends on you, the person. It's all different for everybody. So it's not the same it's not like we have a formula that is literally like, okay, you're 50% masculine and 50% feminine. No, it's whatever's right for you. And also that may change over the years, dependent on what stage of life you're at.
Yeah, definitely. There's certainly up to probably about the age of puberty, there's not a lot of difference between boys and girls because they're all very much in that feminine, and the boys tend to stay there unless they've got a healthy masculine role model.
Yes,
or an unhealthy one, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
I was going to say that could be the case. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we do tend to be as humans when we're growing up, unless there are unhealthy issues around. We tend to be very gender neutral in that way. So we are a balance of our masculine and our feminine as we're growing up.
And then the conditioning starts.
Yes, absolutely. And it's different at different ages for different people as well. For example, like I have always been quite ahead of my time for my age. That's probably how I would put it. So pregnant punk at 14 is me. That's who I was. At 14, I wanted to have a baby.
What? Why would you want a baby at 14?
Yeah, good question. Why would I want a baby at 14? So I thought it was 1983, and I thought by some other conditioning, the world was going to end in 1984, and I'd like to have a baby before the world ends. And if you know anything about neural pathways, as a teenager, our neural pathways have not fused together properly. So the ends of our neural pathways, so that means the way that we're thinking, our thinking paths, have not actually solidified. So they're just left dangling in your brain. And teenagers don't really think about consequences. That's why teenagers act the way they do. And my neural pathways hadn't fused as a teenager. And I didn't necessarily think what that would be like if the world hadn't ended. But all I knew was that I wanted a baby. So I got pregnant.
Excellent. So I'm guessing that was the first and last for a while, or did you go for
Well,
one at 15 and one at 16? And
not quite, but I did have two children by the age of 18.
that's a very busy teens.
Yeah, I literally went from me being a child through puberty into my, let's call them sort of rebellious teenage years. But I'd only just started because literally I was only 14 into being an adult, being responsible for another human form. So somebody else, not a kitten or a puppy, as my father said to me, but a baby that I would be very responsible for. And that was me. I never, ever, I've never, ever regretted it.
Hmm. And I think for a lot of parents, their greatest fear is either the daughter getting pregnant at young age or a son getting someone else's daughter pregnant at a very young age. How did your parents handle it?
Well, they both handled it very differently. So my my mum was quite quite understanding and caring and supportive of me keeping my baby, where my dad, who also happened to be a vicar,
Ah.
uh, um, wasn't that supportive and basically thought that I was ruining my life, throwing it all away, and I would never ever be able to go to university. Like that is the be all and end all of life. um, and yes, I was very much not supportive.
Yeah. Why does the Madonna song Papa Don't Preach come to mind?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Did you kind of play that song to him and say, "Oh, by the way, Dad"? how, how
Do
do
you know
you
what?
tell
I'm
your
not quite
parents when
sure.
you're 14 that you're pregnant?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. I didn't. So, by the way, all of this is in my book, Pregnant Punk at
Yeah.
14, Empowered at 50, which is an inspirational memoir, by the way. It's not a negative book. It's about how you can turn adversity around and basically make the life you want, no matter
Yeah.
what has happened to you. But let's get back to the question. So, yeah, how did I tell my parents? Well, I didn't. So I hid it from them. And when I was 6 months pregnant, and bearing in mind, I was not a small child. I was exactly the same height that I am now, 5'6", and the same size, so a size 12. And I had definitely filled out and put weight on and was, to most people, looking quite pregnant. But to my parents, who were busy with their own lives and just didn't want to believe what was in front of their eyes, they just ignored the fact until one day a parishioner um, invited my dad for afternoon tea to have a word with him and say, there's a rumor going around that Belinda is pregnant. And then my dad, still in very much denial, brought this to our supper table in front of everybody and said, "Oh, I was having afternoon tea, and very preposterous that she said that Belinda might be pregnant." And at the time, I literally was just trying to eat my food as quickly as possible. I think I was halfway through my supper, and I had my head down, and then I could just feel 5 pairs of eyes just boring into my skull because I got my head down. And I just picked up my plate because it was my turn to wash up, and took my plate to the sink and then just started to wash up, whereby my mum ushered everybody very quickly out and came over to ask whether this was indeed correct.
Mm. Yeah, I must admit, I have a teenage daughter. She's 13 now. And
Are you quaking in your boots then?
not as much as her mother is, because her mum's telling her that, oh, you can't have a boyfriend until you're 25 and all this kind of thing. And I think, you're going to make
Ooh,
her
yeah,
rebel.
yes.
So, whereas me and my new partner, we sort of talk about things openly. So, look, it's part of the teenage years. You're going to get closer to boys or girls if that's your thing. We'd rather you talk to us openly about what's going on rather than have you do things behind our backs. And as a result of that, I know of a good 10 boyfriends that she's had. Obviously, nothing too serious, but I'd rather
Yeah,
know about them than not.
absolutely. Well done you, because that is, in my mind, the way forward for parenting. Because literally, if you don't, and you do think that you're like, no, 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 no boyfriends, then yeah, rebellion is inevitable. So my introduction to sex was literally, I think I was 12. I did have a boyfriend, and my mum said to me, "No sex, don't be having any sex." And that was it. I just ran out of the room, kind of like thinking, what the hell? What, you know? And then I also happened to have a very strange introduction to periods as well, which was a I got home one day, went up to my room, and there was a pamphlet um, kindly made by nuns about menstruation. And I thought, what is this? I already knew all about this, by the way, but I was just like, what? And it was quite interesting reading a pamphlet written by nuns about um, being a woman and having your period and when it starts. There was nothing at all remotely helpful in there at all.
Yeah, that just answered the next question. That's a very different introduction to what a lot of girls have to in with menstruation and things like that. Because I remember in biology in high school when we're like, I don't know, 12, 13, they start talking about it there. And they talk about the theory of sex and stuff. And that's kind of where it stops, and talk a little bit about STDs and protection and things like that. And then these days, girls are getting getting their periods at like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And it scares the
It's far
heck
too
out of them.
late. Yeah, far too late, far too late. I was 11, and that was quite young and scary back then because that was very much like 1980.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if it was my daughter or one of her friends that the mum, well, the girl that had a period overnight, obviously wakes up in with blood everywhere, thinks she's had a nosebleed, and then the mum's like, has anybody touched you there? I need to examine you and make sure everything's okay and stuff like that. I think, what the hell? That's a
Mm,
traumatic time for a kid anyway. But to then go through that, and then when my daughter told me she'd had her first period, I said, that's great. You're becoming a woman.
yeah.
You're
Well,
growing
that's
up.
nice.
Do
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
that
That's
means?
nice.
No. Let's talk about it then.
Mm.
Obviously, I can't
You,
talk to the physical experience or the emotions or anything like that, but I can explain the biology and say, oh, by the way, if you want to go and speak to my partner about these kind of things, then go ahead.
mm. No, that's lovely because it's very supportive and it's what every young girl needs.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately, a lot don't get it. So we don't
No,
get taught about sex at home either, generally, or most of us
no,
don't.
exactly. Yeah. Now, maybe is it changing? I'm not so sure because it's a little bit like you've definitely broken your mold in talking to your daughter about, hey, actually, this is okay about relationships and having a boyfriend, and please come and talk to me. If you want to, and if you feel like it, you can ask me anything, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, lot of that's the influence of my partner because her mum was very much like that. And
Yeah,
then you get boys trying to get wanting to have sex with her at 13. She's like, no. She's got the
yeah.
confidence to say
To
no.
say
And
no.
then
Yeah,
farther on down the line when she's ready, why not?
yeah. Whereas for me, it was the other way around. So I was the one wanting to have sex, and my boyfriend was like, "Oh, I'm not so sure about this."
Yeah. Yeah, most boys don't have a lot of confidence in that area, certainly in the teen years. They like
Yeah,
to talk about that they do and
yeah,
think they do and come across as God's gift to women, but most of them are clueless.
yeah, exactly,
I know
exactly.
I certainly was.
Yeah. I don't know whether that's changing. Um, I'll probably find out in the years to come because I've got a 3-year-old grandson, so and another on the way. So I will find that out in 10 years or so.
So the boyfriend that got you pregnant at 14, did he become your childhood sweetheart and then stay together forever or
No, so he was my childhood sweetheart. We got engaged. We planned to get married, and my dad had decided that because of his status in the village where we lived, he didn't want to live there anymore, and moved us as quickly as he could to somewhere we didn't know. It was about 40 miles from where we lived, but nobody knew us. It was, yeah, very different because we'd lived in the countryside, and this was literally like on the edge of a city. Not quite urban, but very suburbia. And we just didn't stand the test of time. So we split up, and that was probably about, let me have a think about this, 9 months before we were going to get married. So yeah, so we split up, but then I was only 17 then.
Yeah, yeah, still very young.
Yeah,
Mind
but I
you, my
didn't
mum
think
was
it.
married at 19, so
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And our parents, that was the story back then. So yes, it
yeah,
was young, but I am talking about, how old am I? So, like nearly 40 years ago.
yeah,
So yeah, it's as
yeah,
time goes on.
it certainly does. And a lot has changed in those last 40 years.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because this certainly would not have been possible back then.
No, I know technology. It's incredible. You kind of have, well, I do. I have a love-hate relationship with technology.
Definitely.
I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Being able to talk to people on the other side of the world. When my daughter was living in Australia, it was brilliant to be able to see her and talk to her. But then, oh, trying to work things out, get things to work. Um, Technology like Zoom. Oh, for some reason, my camera's not working on my laptop. So yes. And it just goes on and on and on, faster and faster. And it's like we're in
Oh,
this
yes.
little hamster wheel, of technology. If we don't
Yeah.
use it, then we don't go anywhere.
Yeah. And at the same time, it is very difficult to switch it off and just be present with your family.
Yeah, it is. If
That's
everybody
that's
was,
the thing
if
that
every,
scares me.
yeah, and if everybody was doing that, then how how long do you think a family would actually last if everybody in that family, like parents, children, grandparents, probably going to be a little bit easier, but everybody in the family, how long do you think they'd last without any kind of technology?
Um, well, I use mine for business all the time, but it's like Christmas last year. A few weeks before, I says, "Well, look, on Christmas Day, no technology," and the look on of sheer dread on their faces. So the little two Hannah's kids, they were at the dad's in the morning, so they had their electronics there, and once they came home, it's like put it in the pile. We're not touching them. And my partner Hannah, and she's like, but I use mine for the timer for cooking and things like that.
Yes.
And I said, well, yeah, that's all right. Just you can do that with flight mode. What 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 if some there's an emergency? I said, everyone knows where we are. They can find a way to come around or contact us if they really need to. But most of them are probably going to have had a few drinks by that time anyway. Don't worry about it. You know, check messages later if there's anything there when we deal with it. But it was actually really, really. nice to just be there, no technology, watch a movie,
Oh, but that's
and
technology.
just enjoy the moment. Well, it is, but at the same
Because
time, when you've,
that's what I was wondering. I was
yeah,
wondering,
where do you
so
draw
what
the
did you
line?
do? Yeah, what did you do? Play games, like board games? Because that's the
Both.
thing. It's like, technology.
Yeah, so because my two are 13 and the other two, well, last year they were 8 and 5. So trying to find something for everybody to do and make sure
Yeah,
everyone gets something, that was tough.
yeah,
Worth it, but tough.
yeah.
But
And that was just for a day then.
that was just for a day. I am
Yes.
tempted to sort of, at some point when it's just me and Hannah, go away for a weekend and say, well, look, just switch phones off or onto flight mode and just be together and see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds like heaven. Although the thing is, my husband would say that that's me most of the day anyway, because I never have my phone on. What am I trying to say? It's always on silent.
Yeah,
So
so do
the
mine.
ringer, yeah, the ringer is always on silent. And so people can be trying to get hold of me and I've got no idea
Yeah,
unless I'm
yeah.
checking my phone.
I leave mine on silent because when I'm on coaching calls or when I'm recording
Yeah,
something like this, the last thing I want is my phone ringing and buzzing and beeping and whatever else. It's like, no, I want to be here and then I'll deal with whatever else is there later.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm the same. So my phone is always on silent. And then I just got out of the habit of once I'd finished coaching calls or courses, then putting it back onto Ringer. I just got out of the habit. I thought, oh, actually, this is really quite nice. Let's just leave it on silent.
Yeah. Yeah, my mother does it as well, which sometimes is frustrating because she doesn't check hers very often.
Yes. Yes.
Used to go to church on a Sunday, stick it on silent, and then it'd be on silent for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the grandkids would turn the ringer on and almost scare her to death.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right.
Let's dig a little bit into the feminine empowerment coach. What is one of them and how does it work?
So, a feminine empowerment coach is somebody that basically helps somebody else to really step into and embrace their feminine side, to really um, find the skills that will really help somebody to, like I say, embrace and be authentically confident with their feminine self.
Hmm. And what kind of things could somebody do if they're listening to this and thinking, actually, am I in my masculine or am I in my feminine? And if I want to be in my feminine to attract a healthy masculine man, one of those guys that you're just by being who he is, you're going to feel safe, special, and seen.
Yeah.
How do they know if they're in the masculine or the feminine?
Yeah, that's a great question. You can read my book, The Feminine Codes, and that will really help you to understand the difference between masculine and feminine and where you are within that. So, whether you are totally in your masculine or whether you're more half half or whether you're just a little bit, and whether you want to balance that out more with uncovering more of your feminine.
Beautiful. So from the way I look at it, a lot of the feminine is about feeling, it's about nurturing and just experiencing not necessarily emotional roller coaster, but expressing what's being felt within in a healthy way. And it's a little bit like the weather. It's completely unpredictable. You can't control it, even though some of us men would like to, because we don't understand it and it scares the heck out of us. So it's almost like a kite that's kind of moving up and down with the wind, going wherever it needs to go. And that masculine presence, whether it's within your partner or within yourself, is the grounded part. And that little cord between the two, if the kite's going to start crashing down to earth, just tweak that little string and bring it back up again.
Yeah, I like that analogy. It's quite nice. Yeah, very nice. So, for example, with the feminine codes, there are 7 that are very prominent. So the 7 that I've written about in my book, The Feminine Codes, are creativity, compassion, confidence, care, connection, collaboration, and communication. And all of those 7 areas are basically where anybody can step into and rediscover. I say rediscover because they're all within us. So rediscover and build our femininity. And that's actually regardless of your gender.
Yeah. So you mentioned connection.
Yeah.
Certainly within the area of relationships, I hear a lot of people saying, I want to find somebody with great chemistry, or the chemistry's got to be right. What's the difference from your perspective, between chemistry and connection?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question, because you can have chemistry, in my experience, and with my knowledge, you can have chemistry without actually having a true connection. So chemistry seems to be something a little bit more primal, is what I would say. Something that's like that spark that's there, that often when you're less mature, and also when you're maybe not as knowledgeable, you might think that that's love.
Yeah.
But often it's more lust and this kind of chemistry that sparks, and you can't stop thinking about them, and you just think, oh my God, they're the one. That's who I need to be with. So often that chemistry isn't necessarily a bonding connection. So my idea of connection is something a little bit more different. So where you connect on the same wavelength, you connect with the same kind of things you enjoy doing, the same sort of pastimes, hobbies. Maybe that's travel, maybe that's eating out, eating the same kind of food. We're going to restaurants, maybe it's sharing the same sense of humor. But connection is, I think, quite different to chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, when I hear people talking about chemistry, as you say, it's more primal, it's lust, it's almost sort of infatuation. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, when I was growing up, I used to hear people, like my parents especially, say, "Oh, when meet the one you just know." Nobody ever told you how you know. So when these butterflies come inside and you're thinking about this person all the time, oh, that means they're the one. Great. And then 2 weeks later, you get dumped, and it's like, what the is going on here? This wasn't in the script.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It is a very interesting kind of, oh, you'll just know, and that's what everybody is conditioned to believe. And actually, no,
Yeah,
it's not true. It's not true. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I
yeah.
remember
I
getting a
could,
message off my partner when we first got together. I think it was after about second or third time we'd met. He says, "Well, I'm a bit concerned because I'm not getting all these butterflies." I just replied and said, "Good."
yeah,
What? And that's not a bad thing. It's like,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. The biggest chemistry that I think I ever had in that way was with it turned out to be a nightmare of a partner and ended up in a very violent and abusive relationship. So it is very interesting when you think, oh, that's what you're looking for, that kind of chemistry. And in my experience, that's not
yeah,
what makes a lasting relationship.
yeah. Because that even with if those butterflies and whatnot aren't there in the beginning, there are times where there's going to be peaks of excitement, but then there's also going to be these troughs and down times where it's not there, and you have to work
Yeah,
at building that connection or building that relationship from that deep connection to keep going.
absolutely. Yeah. There needs to be some kind of foundation that you build right at the beginning to be able to build your house of love from.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. So
when I met my husband, I'd just been married. I'd been married. I'd just left my marriage because when I left my career, I also then left my husband as well at the same time. There was a lot going on for me at that time. I literally changed my whole life around. And me being me, because I was in my overdeveloped masculine, I thought, you know what? I'll just take 6 months off work. I'll decide what I want to do. Within those 6 months, I will not have any relationships. Maybe, okay, um, just little light ones, but nothing heavy. I'm not looking for anybody. And lo and behold, oh, and I also wanted to learn how to windsurf in those 6 months. So lo and behold, within a few weeks, I'd met my now husband. And I was a little bit like, no, this isn't part of the plan. And there wasn't that kind of big sort of, you know, crash bang. Wow, he is the one. Actually, there was resistance from me, and something just kept on drawing me back and going, actually, I really quite like him. He's really quite funny. I quite get on with him. Okay, you know what? Maybe let's just see how this goes. 22 years later, and we are very much still together. And we talk very openly about any issues. We check in with each other, usually probably a couple of times a year. Like, how are we? How are we feeling with each other? Everything okay? Is there something that you're not quite happy with that needs to be spoken about? But now we've over the years trained ourselves that whenever anything comes up that we're not happy about, we will then talk about it.
yeah,
Sometimes that might be an argument, but that's absolutely fine. It literally brings everything to a head, and then we talk about it, and then we understand what's going on, and take it from there, make any changes that we need to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these days society's almost got us into it's almost like a microwave society. Everything's got to be in an instant messages,
Convenience.
instant dinners, instant this, instant relationships,
Yeah.
instant end of relationships. And it doesn't matter what it is, anything of substance of value takes time to build, whether it's a house, whether it's a business, whether it's a relationship. It's like you can write a book in 10 seconds on ChatGPT. It's not going to have the same quality and depth as one where you've put your life experience into the story that's created and becoming that book.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that is missing from a lot of this instant convenience AI world, technological world as well, is energy. And I don't think you could actually create that any other way. It is our human energy, the connection that we have with people, the vibration, the wavelength that we're working on, that we're actually also drawing into our life, manifesting things to happen. It's all to do with our energy.
Yeah. Yeah, there are even AI things to create music, but that music doesn't create an emotion.
No, although I must say, my husband's nephew is working on that right now. So he's doing a PhD, and that is his job, to literally find out how um, humans create feelings and emotions so that he can program that into AI. How scary is that?
Yeah, very. So in the future, you're going to be able to pretty much get a mail order AI robot partner program with whatever emotions you want. Um, yeah, I think I'd
Yes.
rather have a human.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Although the thing is, it is a big problem for a lot of people. A lot of people, a lot of
Yeah,
my clients. It's a problem them trying to find the right partner for them.
yeah,
I come across it a lot. A lot of my clients, it's the same kind of issue, problem that they
yeah,
have. That they say, yes, there are definitely single people out there, and if they're looking for a man, single men, but they're not the kind of men that they're wanting. They're looking for more emotionally intelligent, mature men that want commitment and want a relationship. And it's very interesting because more and more they're saying that they're finding that a lot of the men that they're meeting just don't want any kind of commitment.
Mm. And as a man, I can understand some of that because we've all seen or experienced either our dads, our friends, aunts, not aunts, uncles, brothers, plus stories in the media where they've been that good man and then they end up being taken through the divorce courts, lose access to the children, lose half the house, and then end up still paying for their ex-partner to live with another man, him raising the kids. And I just think, why bother? What's in that for me? But for
Mm,
me, when that relationship is on that solid foundation of connection, both sides have done their inner work, that ain't going to happen.
No, not at all. But how common is this that both sides have done their inner work?
Unfortunately, not common enough. That's why say unfortunately, it keeps me in a business as well. So it's like positives and negatives to everything, right? But no, so I would like to get like society come to the world in a world where relationship coaches are not necessarily healing wounds of the past and helping people align with their right partner, but it's a little bit like taking your car for a service, just getting some guidance. If there's anything hiding in the blind spots that you might not see yourself, then they can be ironed out before it comes to any major catastrophe or divorce.
Yeah, yeah. But also, I don't think necessarily that partners need to have done their work, because I'm just thinking, like with me and my husband, we hadn't done our work. We'd met each other and we were both new, fresh out of relationships, but we recognized something within each other and then actually started to help to heal each other.
Yeah.
And build on that as well. We then started to do our work, our inner work, while we were in the relationship and with each other, helping. I mean, my husband, Toby, he's a massive part of me rediscovering my feminine side.
Yeah. I think Hannah would say the same thing as well, to be fair.
Mm. But I do think that, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the norm. It doesn't seem to be like we're the common ones.
No, definitely not.
And very interesting where I live, Ibiza, because it's a interesting island. It's quite transient. People come and go, and lots of people come as couples having this dream, thinking that they're coming to have a dream life on Ibiza. Anybody that knows Ibiza will know that it's not really like that, because Ibiza has a very high quartz and mineral content, which stirs up lots of people's energy. And on top of that, usually when people arrive, they're spending 24/7 with their partners, and they've come from a life where with their partners where they've never spent that amount of time with them. They've been at work, sometimes their ships passing in the night. That's why they've decided, okay, you know what, let's give this up and let's go and live in bliss on this dream island of Ibiza. And they arrive, and that isn't what happens, because they spend so much time with each other. They start to really find out what each other is really like. And the majority of people can't hack it.
Yeah.
And so there's always people, always couples splitting up here. So it is very interesting.
A little bit like lockdown in the sun, then.
Yes. Yes.
With added effect from the crystals and
Yeah.
possibly the party area if they move anywhere near that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Lots of distractions here if you want them.
Yeah. Mind you, there's distractions anywhere if you go looking for them, I suppose.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening to this and thinking, I'd like to know more about Belinda, where can they find you? Where can they find their books or your books even?
So my books are on Amazon, and you can go there and find um, Pregnant Punk at 14, Empowered at 50. You can find the Feminine Codes, and you can also find the Feminine Codes Journal, which is a paperback edition that complements the Feminine Codes, Your Essential Guide to Unlocking Your Inner Power. And you can find out more about me at feminineempowermentacademy.com. I'm also on socials. I'm on Insta and Facebook as Belinda M Clarke. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. I'm there as well as Belinda M Clarke. So you can find me in lots of different places, actually.
Excellent. So the next question I ask everybody, but don't prime anybody for. So, and as this podcast is called Relationship Revolutions, from your perspective, if there was one thing that will bring revolution or evolution to the world of dating and relationships, what would it be?
I would say that evolution and revolution would be achieved by some kind of enforced training, enforced relationship training, whether you're in a relationship or not. But this is to do with relationship. The majority of my work is actually to do with having a relationship with yourself. So so that's the thing. It is like that that is my work, having a relationship with yourself, and then you can move that out into a bigger circle of at work, at home, with others. But the evolution and revolution would be enforced relationship training.
Interesting. So if you were that 14-year-old punk and we've had this relationship course forced on you, would you do it?
You know what? If it's appealed to me, because that's the whole thing. It has to be as a 14-year-old punk, I wanted to know more about sex. I wanted to know more about having a relationship. I wanted to be able to talk to somebody about that, to find out more. I have an older sister. She's 5 years older than me, and she was banned from talking to me about anything to do with sex. So that's the kind of, enforced relationship training that I would like. I would like somebody that was open, that I'd be able to ask all the questions that I didn't know, that I was kind of asking my friends, but they didn't know either. And there was no kind of friendly parent that we could all go to or anything like that. So yeah, if it's done in the right way, then absolutely I would have done. If it was somebody that was very open and not telling me what to do, but just was kind and open to discussing about the things that I wanted to know, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think you hit one of the biggest nails on the head there when you say it's about the relationship with yourself. If you think about it, any relationship you go to, whether it's friendship, parental relationship, intimate relationship, business relationship, you take yourself with you.
Yeah, everywhere.
You're the one person you cannot get away from.
Exactly. And so many, again, like a lot of my clients, they've tried a lot of things before they come to me, usually. And that often means that they might have left a country, left a marriage, left a relationship, but they're taking themselves with them, and they find themselves down the line in this new life. Oh, it's not working. I'm not happy. It doesn't feel right. I don't seem to be able to get a partner. And that's what I do. I help them to have a relationship with themselves first.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Well, it's really important, because how can you expect to have an effective relationship with anybody else if you can't have an effective relationship with yourself?
100%. Belinda, thank you for joining me. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you on. And I'm sure
Thank you very
we'll
much,
see
Alan.
each other in the online space in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. And if you want to invite me again for anything else, then please do. Take care.
Excellent. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't already, please leave me a review on your preferred podcast platform. Click the like button and also subscribe so that you get the new episode notifications. I'm curious, what did you take away from this episode? Please share your takeaways with me. Send me an email to relationship-revolutions@theloveengineer.rocks.